You're listening to Chameleon Church, biblical antidotes for the modern man, with your host, Allan Aguirre.
So it's another month, brand new month, August, first Tuesday of the month of August. My name is Allan Aguirre. This is Chameleon Church Show. This is Darryl Weinberg. We've been doing this together for a little while now, and we're still here doing it. We're still here making it happen. August 4th. So, yeah, it's been an interesting last 5 months. There's birds on my roof. I was wondering what the heck that sound was. Huh. So, yeah, it's been an interesting 5 months. What are they doing? Birds. Birds are a trip. So our show was yanked from YouTube last week because I played 2 minutes of that Dr. Emmanuel. Is that her name? I can't remember her name.
Stella Emmanuel.
Yeah. So I played a couple minutes of her, and YouTube decided, you can't do that. That's bad. You're bad. We're gonna punish you. It's interesting though. Right? Yeah, we're live, Bob. Every Tuesday morning for the last 2.5 years, we're live on Messianic Lamb Radio Network conglomerate. Starting at 8:45. So yeah, this has been it should be going for 5 minutes, but we've only really gone for 2 minutes. Yes, we're live. Did you have a question? We'll be happy to try to answer your question. So anyway, I think it's interesting that they're saying there's a cure, but then they're saying there's not a cure. And now people are, a lot of people are coming out and saying, yeah, this stuff works. But they're saying, no, the government has tested this and everyone died. It's horrible. This will kill you. And then we're hearing, well, no, they basically gave these people like overdoses of this stuff and killed them. Not that they died, but they were killed taking this stuff to make it look bad. It's like, if any of this is true, if even if the smallest percentage of this is true, that this does work and that the government did do tests to make it look like it doesn't work because they know it does. Those are the questions you should be asking. What the hell is going on? Why are people not, one, why is the government doing this to us? For one, what's behind the government's lying? And I've done everything I can not to be conspiratorial, and to say the government is behind this and they're doing something to hurt us and it's wrong, that's conspiracy in all of itself. But to believe, and I know a lot of people still believe, to believe that your government wouldn't do this, wake up, man. That's just based on what, Anyway, it's goofy out there. It's goofy out there, man. Austin is now under siege. It's a matter of time till Los Angeles snaps. I think LA's next. People are leaving New York. The crime rate's going out the window. There's nobody doing anything to stop it. Crime rate's out of control. The economy there, the real estate, it has plummeted. It's the lowest it's been in almost 10 years. People are leaving in mass. It didn't take very long, did it?
Nope, it didn't.
It didn't take long at all. I mean, as far as being one of the greatest powers in the world, one of the greatest countries on the planet, we sure are a bunch of sheeple, aren't we? There's too many. And it doesn't help that you've got these people in charge. Look who's running New York. Look who's running LA. Look who's running Portland. Look who's running Austin. It's funny how it's all happening in their own backyard, right? Because if they came and did it to these Republican stronghold states, they'd be met with militias like they have been. They'd be met with people that actually know how to use a gun. Oh, God. Yeah, Texas needs to step it up there a little bit. It's just straight. It's crazy, man. Anyway, that's our current news and events. Do you have anything to add to the current news and events, Darryl?
No, it's pretty much status quo. The United States is falling apart. God is standing by and watching it happen because this is what Americans have been asking for.
The new Mario Murillo blog, Mario Murillo posted a couple 2 or 3 days ago. I shared it, and it was BLM is in Portland on video burning Bibles, and he's like, "What does that have to do with Black Lives and how that and Black Lives Matter and Floyd and all that? It has nothing to do with it. This is who and what they are. This is what they want. It says so on their website. They're Marxists, and they want to take down the American family unit and this and that and the other. They're burning Bibles because Bibles are." I don't know. Anyway, that should put every single one of you to shame. I mean, I could sit here and start naming names, whole families that I know, Christians. The amount of people at the church I used to go to in Texas, and this is the closest I've ever gotten to naming names, that the amount of people that used to go to the church that we went to in Dallas before we moved here, the amount of those people that have sided with this BLM BS, man, absolutely out of control. Well, Ken and Barbie Christian, guess what? Those people you've been supporting since March or April, whatever it's been, are now burning Bibles. Explain to me how that fits in with your theology. You're deceived. You're absolutely, completely, entirely deceived. And we told you, we warned you, and you got mad at us. It's not good enough for me to say, well, just leave it alone. They'll find out soon enough. They'll find out. That's not good enough. Do I know that when this thing is all wrapped up, whether you die first or this thing is wrapped up first, whichever happens first, you're going to then be, whoop, and you're going to know all, and you're going to know how wrong you were. And I will too. I'm looking forward to it. Right? But see, it's too late at that point. It's too late at that point for you to go, oh, maybe I shouldn't have voted that way. Oh, maybe I shouldn't have taken little Bobby and Susie out into the streets with me holding up these stupid ass signs. Oh, maybe it'll be too late by then. We're trying to help you, keep you from that. 50% of you ran out of oil. And when you went to go get oil, he came and showed up, and we left with him, and you were left out. You were left behind. Well, we're trying to keep that from happening. We're trying to keep you from being left behind. We're trying to keep you from being running out of oil and not being because see, 100% of those virgins were at this right place at the right time. That's what I love about that parable, because people don't believe that we know that we can. No man knows the place or time or hour, right? They love that verse. That's not what that's talking about. That verse isn't talking about the second coming of Messiah. That verse is talking about the end of the millennium reign, when God wipes it all out and starts over with a new heaven and a new earth. We're supposed to know when Messiah comes. We're supposed to be aware of the season of his return. He comes as a thief in the night to those that are asleep and that live in darkness. He doesn't come as a thief in the night to those in the light. That's New Testament teaching. You weren't taught that because that represents a whole bunch of knowing and know-how on your part, and the pastor can't tell you that because the pastor doesn't know himself. So it's a lot easier to say, oh, no. See, we're trying to help you have oil in your lamp when he shows up so that you don't run out of oil. And you get mad at us every time we talk to you about this stuff, and we expose you for the stupidity that your stupidity and your lack of discernment and your lack of spiritual. Anyway, that's current events. Darryl.
Yeah, it's well, we're getting close to the fall feasts. I have heard some people suggest that there's going to be a time of recompense, and this is the word anyway that at least one person has gotten. And ultimately, we just have to be about the Father's business. There are all kinds of things out there. I'm dealing with a situation right now where we've got we've made pretty much a declaration that we're going to be a drama-free household. And that's a lot harder than most people think.
Wait. That your household is going to be drama-free, or the church?
My household is going to be drama-free, and all the people who attempt to bring drama to us, we're just shutting it right down.
Dude, my daughter and I were talking about that the other day.
Really?
This drama. It's like I forgot what we were talking about, but someone said something like really kind about her and the family, and I'm like, it's really bizarre the amount of people that look up to our family and our family unit and have for decades. I'm like, we're like so dysfunctional. She's like, yeah, I think everyone is. I'm like, yeah, but we're pretty dysfunctional. Talk about the drama and dysfunction, but somehow people look at our family. I don't know. I think maybe do they see something we don't see? Because I see it all, and I just go, I like that drama-free household.
Yeah, well, it's
very
just
cool.
We went through. My wife and I went through some spiritual counseling back in March, and the couple that counseled us. So it was a week-long intense session, like it was all day long. Half of it with her, half of it with me. And there were a couple of sessions we did together, and it was going through there's a very powerful course out there called RTF, Restoring the Foundations. And what they do is it was a program that was developed back in the 80s, I think. And what they do is they take inventory of they do like a 27-page questionnaire before you even come in for counseling. And they want to know about your family history. They want to know about any issues that you're dealing with. They want to know about any kind of illnesses that run in your family or that you've had. And they want as complete a picture as possible. And then what they do is they start taking you through this whole process of identifying sins of the fathers, ungodly beliefs, and things like that. And one of the things that really came out in the counseling is that drama we attract drama. We hate it. We're fighting against it all the time, but we were accepting it as being normal. And so every time we would get together with family and stuff like that, I mean, family and drama, I think it's the same word, isn't it? And, you would just deal with it. And then we would spend all kinds of time after that trying to decompress and defragment. From all and in ministry,
defrag. Yeah. I haven't defragged a computer in decades.
Well, you need to defrag your mental computer here,
right?
But what they said, they just kind of looked at us and they said, "You don't have to accept that." And my wife and I were both like, "We don't," because that was our whole ministry experience in Peterborough. It was drama. All day, every day. And what people do is they come to you and they want to, and what drama is, they want to make their problems your problems.
Yeah.
And they come up to you and it's like they got a slab of meat and they just throw it down in front of you and they say, okay, now deal with this.
Dude, Utah is all about the drama, man.
Well, I mean, anytime you have a cult running the entire area, that's what's going to happen. But I mean, that's everybody's experience.
That's crazy.
What we started realizing was, no, you know what? We don't have to accept this. and we stopped. And so once we start recognizing it, we shut it right down, and we just say, no, that's not my problem.
Yeah.
And I don't know why you're trying to make it my problem. So, you know what? I'll get a text from someone on Saturday morning regarding the Bible study, and, oh, you know, this and that and the other thing. And I'll just say, okay, so what am I supposed to do about it? Problem solve. Don't come to me and throw your slab of meat down at my feet and expect me to now pick it up. This is your burden. If you want advice on what to do, that's different. But then don't expect me to just say, like this, and then expect me to, you know, get involved. And so, because as soon as you enter into that with the best of intention of helping them, you now empower them to continue in their drama. And this is the vast majority of Christianity today.
Dude.
We don't have people who solve problems. We have people who live in drama.
Yeah, I'm thinking of a meme that I have somewhere that I think I actually have. So, okay, yeah, we'll just do it, you know, the worst possible way, just to make it easy for you, or something like that. Yeah, I hate drama. It's but like you said, yeah, you know, you hate it, you try to avoid it at all possible, at all costs. It's always lingering. It's always there on the fringe, you know.
Well, it's a spiritual thing.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
And so unless you cut that off, and, you know, we found out so much about ungodly beliefs. And the fact, one of the ungodly beliefs was that drama was normal. And when they corrected us on that, we were like, oh my God, thank you, Lord.
Yeah.
Because now we just have to say, no, I'm not going to get involved. I'm not going to get upset about it. And that lowers your blood pressure by a lot.
I guess so. I mean, I'm pretty sure my blood pressure is fine.
I mean, it doesn't have to be at, you know, critical levels. I'm just saying that when you feel yourself getting upset by all this stuff because people just want to go, they want to throw their drama at you. And so now I've begun to preach that in my congregation. And it's really funny because one of the couples that we have, the wife is Mexican. And, you know, I started talking, and she just kind of looked at me when I said that and was like, well, how do you do that? Like, the fact that you can eliminate drama from your life was so foreign to her. Because, man, I lived in Mexico. It is all drama down there.
It's when you live by yourself and you're a recluse and all that stuff, and you still have drama in your life. There's your first clue.
People say that you shouldn't talk to yourself. Talking to yourself, it's not the problem. It's when you start arguing with yourself that you know you need therapy. But yeah, I mean, this Mexican girl, she's in her mid-30s. And oops,
that's her calling you.
Yeah, no.
What are you talking about me? You're creating drama.
Yeah, so, you know, and it was really funny because after we had this discussion, the next week or 2 weeks later, I mentioned it again. She says, "Yes, my husband keeps reminding me." No, you don't have to accept that. But, you know, I think that this is. I think that this here is one of the key issues within Christianity, is that what is drama? Drama is allowing the enemy to tug on our emotions and get us all into a tizzy about things. And it goes back to 2 Corinthians 10:5, where it says we take every thought captive. Because most of the problems that we have, even within a believing life today, are really not problems. They may be challenges, they may be obstacles. It just requires a little bit of thought maybe to get around or something like that, but they're not really problems. But when we get stuck and we can't figure out a way around it, and then we want to go involve other people.
Right.
If we stopped letting emotions get a hold of us, because, I mean, if you really break it down, how does the demonic realm work? They find unhealed parts of our soul. they attach themselves to those emotions and those ungodly beliefs, and then they start manipulating them. Then they start so, for choleric temperaments like you and I, we struggle with anger. Well, if we've got, unresolved hurt in our past.
Wait. Are you saying I have anger problems? I need anger management?
Not the movie.
wait. I want to know why you're psychoanalyzing me. Why do you think I have anger issues?
Do you want the laundry list?
No, just get the short one.
Because that's what your temperament is.
Based on what?
The fact that you struggle very hard not to call people names on the show. You want to keep it. It's an effort for you sometimes to keep this a family environment. Listen, I had a friend of mine in the leadership business we were in, and he said, "You know how you know you're a cleric?"
Real quickly, though, Rabbi, it's not anger; it's passion.
Yeah. Oh, okay. We're just going to rename it. I had a friend of mine who said, "You know how you know you're a cleric? You think there are too many idiots in the world."
There are. I can prove it.
Okay, so there you go.
Absolutely prove it. In fact, I have proven it.
Of course you can.
You know what? I'm going to get more coffee.
So just a story about this. I did a 2-part series on the different temperaments, and it's a fascinating study when you start to understand how people are wired, and the fact that there are only certain amount of personalities in the world, although everybody is unique. But I had said that I had spoken at a church about 4 or 5 years ago, and the pastor was away, but the pastor's daughter was running the service that day. And so after the service was over, my wife, my son, and I, and the pastor's daughter and their sound technician, we all went out for lunch. And I started explaining this whole concept about the temperaments. And I said that to her, and I said, "Do you know how you know you're a choleric?" I said, "Do you think there are too many idiots in the world?" And she grabbed her chest and she went, oh, I feel so exposed. It was like I'd ripped the curtain off, and that I had completely exposed everything that she had been thinking, but was trying so hard to keep hidden. It was an absolute riot. She spent literally going like that. So anyway, when we have ungodly beliefs and when we have unhealed areas of our lives, that's where the enemy gets in, and the spirits will start tugging on us. Because remember, the devil can't force us to do or say anything, but he can certainly influence us. And if we're not bringing every thought captive under Messiah's obedience, then we cannot walk in the fruit of the Spirit. Then we flip into the flesh, and this is what Christians are not taught how to do, and it's one of the commands. Because one of the verses that I struggle with all the time is right after that in 2 Corinthians 10:6. It says, "And we are ready to judge all disobedience when your obedience is complete." And I think about that sometimes, and I think, oh my gosh, how many people is God waiting to judge, but can't do so on my behalf because they may have wronged me, but he can't discipline them or judge them because my obedience isn't complete. And so they're being allowed to continue in this bad behavior because, God needs to get my life in order, and I need to align my thought process with his. So that's a sobering one. That's one of those verses that, oh man, you get convicted every time you read it, or at least I do anyway. I can't speak for anybody else. So this whole no drama thing, it's been quite refreshing, because now we can see it coming much sooner. I'll get a text. "Oh, I've got this problem." Okay, you have a problem. So unless I'm actually invited in to give advice, then I'm not getting involved.
Yeah.
because the tendency of those in leadership and those who are mature in the faith is we want to help. We see people struggling and we want to lend a hand, but then we have to realize that there's got to be an order to how this is done.
Right.
And sometimes you got to let them struggle for a while until they get tired.
Yeah.
And then they cry out to God and say, you know what? Maybe the same thing that I've been doing for the past 20 years isn't working.
Yeah. The way I've always said it is I give people enough rope. You know, I give people enough rope to hang themselves. We're not a cult. I hate babysitting grown adults.
Mm-hmm.
If I know when you don't want to hear my whatever, yeah.
And this is where the crucified life really becomes. This is where the gospel is simple, although it's not easy. The concept of taking every thought captive is very simple. But
it's a lot of discipline. A lot of people won't go through the process. That's the problem. That's what I find. It's like, you know, when I meet people, you know, I know what's going to take for them to get from point B to point D, and the majority of them aren't going to do the work. No. They're just not. And they've been taught and raised that they didn't have to do that work, which is why they haven't figured it out.
Yeah.
You know, apparently it's, you know, oh, I got saved and everything. Jesus takes care of everything. Like, well, I'm not sure what you're talking about. I don't know that Jesus.
No.
I know that I have to take the cross, and that I have to draw near, and that I have to stop sinning, and that's what my Bible says. Did you get all that out of there? Because, yeah. So, but
now the fight really begins.
Right. You know, so yesterday. So yesterday was our 20th devotion. Man, we've been doing it for 5 months. I don't even know how that happened or when that happened, but we've been doing it for 5 months. Now, when I was reported for abusive content, can you imagine? Somebody reported me for having abusive content on Facebook, and so now my Zoom feed has been blocked from Facebook, and I can't anyway. So we've lost maybe half the people because, you know, they're just not going to. I don't know. For them, it was easier to listen in on Facebook than it was to actually join, you know, or to do it on Zoom, even though they've all been invited. Whatever. But we've had a good solid core, and the reason why I bring it up is because it's a good group, you know, drama free. Good. We had one person that had some drama, and they pulled themselves out because, you know, I'm not going to tolerate the crap. I'm just not going to tolerate the stuff that stupid people do. I'll be glad to help hold the door for them. You know, don't leave mad, just leave, type of thing. Mm-hmm. But anyway, it's been a really solid group. They're learning from what they're saying. They're learning a lot. It's good. It's a good solid group. So I'm blessed by that. And so, you know, because discipleship, man, walking this stuff out with people is can be very dramatic.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, it's a quiet morning.
Yes.
We only got Bob out there. And Bob's, you know, out there trucking for the Lord. Keep on trucking, Bob. Hey, man, and be careful. You said he's going back. When I get back to CHOP, dang.
Wow.
What a drag. Sorry to hear that, Bob. But yeah.
There's a lot of truckers that says they're not going to go in there.
I know.
So dude, what does that mean?
Portland's, I don't know where everybody is, Bob. Hey, there's Dina. Dina had some good testimonies last night. Bob, I don't know where people are at. I tend to upset them, bring a lot of, you know, so who knows? Oh, Adam Contrell, look at that. Hey, there are people out there. They're just not talking. They're actually listening to us, and we're not saying anything.
And Holy Toledo's washing dishes, so.
Oh, my gosh. Jojo, the warrior of Yah, is washing dishes. That's awesome. See, it's an interesting group of people.
Yeah. We lost Desi this morning. She's our one of our main chatterers.
Oh yeah. Where is she?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's right, huh?
I don't know. People don't they don't warn me ahead of time what's happening.
Why not?
Why?
Show?
They don't feel an obligation to. I don't know.
Control? Aren't you in charge?
No.
Oh.
No, absolutely not.
Hey. You know that secret group you guys are in on Sundays?
Yeah.
Did you hear about my Sunday debacle?
I saw part of it.
It's freaking hilarious, man. It was comical, man. It was comical. It's pretty funny. I've been really, really busy. I mean, I can't tell you how busy I've been. It's crazy. My schedule's crazy through October. I have some friends come in from out of town. He helps distribute books. I mean, this guy will buy books and distribute them all over the country. So, you know, that's pretty cool. And I want to take care of those people, you know. So he comes in with his family, and he wanted to golf. So he wanted to go golfing. You know, when he comes into town, we usually go golfing. Sometimes we'll go fishing and all that. So he came into town. So we were going to go golfing, but it's been so crazy up here, up on the mountain. A lot of the golf courses, you know, they're just packed. So I decided, well, let's go fishing. We'll go fishing. It's going to be hot anyway. It's been really hot. It's going to be hot anyway. It'll be cooler, and it's cheaper, you know. Let's go do that. Okay, sure. So I'll pick you up. He's staying at a local resort here in town. I'll pick you up around 9:30. We'll hit the water. He said, "Yeah, we'll fish for a couple hours. We'll go do lunch, and then we'll go back to the river for another couple hours. No problem." All right. So I'm going to pick him up at 9:30 in the morning. So my alarm goes off to wake up, to load up, you know, my fishing gear and to go pick him up. And I'm going to check, you know, I always check to see what's going on. And there's an email. We want to, you know, thank you in advance for joining us on today's virtual conference. And I'm like, oh, that's today. Because originally I was booked for the 9th. And I'm like, oh, crap. I totally forgot about it. I totally spaced out that this is happening today. So I sent an email or a text message going, hey, what's the format? You know, am I being interviewed? Is there anybody else on there? You know, and I wasn't really told. And, you know, anyway, basically it's just going to be me. I have to, you know, okay. So I have to come up with something to say based on the subject matter of the virtual conference. And I have nothing. So I get a hold of my friend and I go, hey, you know, I totally forgot I was supposed to do this thing and it's happening today and I've got to figure this out. I have to do this thing before I can think about doing anything. And then afterward, you know, if you want. So yeah, so we're going to go fishing after the fact. No problem. So he goes, well, why don't you come on by and, you know, come on over anyway. And we'll hang out at the pool and you can put together your thing. I'm like, yeah, I can do that. Because again, I want to take care of the people that support my ministry. Does that make sense? It should. Are you even listening, Darryl?
I am. But I know the story already.
Oh, you do?
Yes.
So I show up to the poolside at the resort. I'm working on this thing. It's going along pretty good. We get breakfast. We're eating breakfast. And then I get this text. You're on in 7 minutes. And I'm like, but it doesn't start till 2. And I'm like, oh, crap. The time zone. Talking about time zones, Bob. It was 2 o'clock Eastern, not 2 o'clock Mountain. I'm like 2 hours behind, and they want me to go on now. I didn't have time to get home. I'm using the hotel internet. I'm on my iPad. Oh man, it's pretty funny. I felt bad though because I didn't do it deliberately, and you know that was disrespectful and discourteous to the host. And so I apologized. Like, hey, I didn't mean to do that. I wasn't trying to mess with you or disrespect you or be rude or anything. Just busy. I'm a busy guy. Yeah, isn't that crazy? The fact that I can do this every Tuesday morning is a miracle.
Hmm.
But I thought the message was pretty darn good. Oh yeah,
If you do say so yourself.
I do. I do say so myself. Absolutely. If it was crap, I'd be sitting here telling you how crappy it was and how embarrassing it was and how I blew it and I should have been prepared and blah 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 blah. I just shared what happened. It's on the yeah. So it's on YouTube. A faith exemption. Awesome. So do you have anything else to share, Darryl? Do you have anything to share at all? I'm pretty much.
Well, on Saturday we covered the Shema in the Parsha, so that was always neat. But one of the things that I found this past week in the Parsha is that the whole idea of obedience leads to wisdom. And what we're finding, last week I said that right after the Chameleon show, I was getting on a Zoom call with a bunch of pastors.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my word.
Trigger you?
Well,
were they wearing their masks?
In home? No, they haven't gone that far yet. Although it was pretty close to that.
My daughter just got back from LA. She said at some restaurants, people are wearing their masks and they'll.
Because that's going to help a whole lot.
What is going? That's insane.
Well, I like how Bob puts it. Our submission mask.
Insane. And explain to me how wearing a mask in your restaurant until I get to my table, and then I can take it off, and then I eat my meal. I spend my hour and a half, and then I do this so I can walk out of your restaurant.
Yeah, it's madness.
Anyway, Zoom meeting. We're doing meetings like this with our masks.
About halfway through the pastor's meeting, I was looking for the cyanide pill in my shoe. I mean, it was bad.
Oh my gosh, that's so bad. I can't believe you just said that. That's worse than anything I've ever said.
Oh no, it's not.
Oh yeah, it is.
No,
I've never said I wanted to kill myself.
It was something else.
Look at.
Yeah.
We should do our show like this. We'd get more viewers of the right kind.
That's right, because people would feel safe if we were wearing our masks on the show.
I think we would get more. Am I even wearing this right? I think we'd get more viewers this way because they would know we were in a safe environment and that we were in compliance with all government. Can you? So listen, how do not cost online, it's called stupidity.
And it's brutal when you have people who mumble to begin with who are then wearing masks.
I'm mumbling on purpose. Anyway, go on. Not doctors. We can't talk about doctors anymore. Your pastors, Zoom meeting, cyanide pill.
Yes.
Next. Why? Okay, why? Why did they trigger you that you were looking for an invisible cyanide pill in your Inspector Gadget Maxwell Smart shoe?
Who says that it's invisible?
I didn't know you worked for a 3-letter acronym. I didn't know you were a TLA'er.
I do. I work for God, G-O-D.
That was really bad. My wife's into
no, what all these guys are concerned about was how to submit to the government ordinances, not singing, how they're organizing things, how trying to figure out how their people feel about certain things. I mean, there was one church in the area.
Wah, 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 wah.
Yeah.
So So
there was one. Hang on a second. There was one church in the area about a month and a half ago, or something like that, and they sent out an email blast to all their people, asking them to fill out a survey about how they felt about returning to public worship. And my wife showed this to me, and I just about lost it. They're surveying the people. I said, did anybody bother to ask God what he felt about maybe returning to public worship? And then you've got this banning of singing. And we discussed this on Saturday. The ACLJ, the American Center for Law and Justice, is going after the California government for banning singing in church because it says in Psalm 100, make a joyful noise unto the Lord. Sing unto him. It's a command.
My religious freedoms.
Yeah, exactly. So why are we so concerned? And I said at the end of the meeting after, and one guy was saying that this one verse really inspired him. It was Romans 13:10 that above all love, because love is the fulfillment of the law. And at this point,
that's not out of context.
Yeah, but at this point, I was about to use. See, I have this sign right beside my desk because when I have conversations like that, this is where I go to after. Okay, this is my stress relieving sign. And I said to everybody, I said, it's all fine and dandy that we submit to our governing authorities so long as it doesn't violate the scriptures. Because I seem to remember that this event happened about 70 years ago or so. And the common refrain that everybody gave as to why they submitted to the government in the rounding up and execution of millions of Jews and others was, I was just following orders. So if all we're concerned about is appeasing the government, which is an ungodly institution, especially here in Canada, although looking at some of your governors and mayors, you're not doing any better. Why are we so worried about what the government says? What, because they might come find me? Okay, come find me. I don't get this. Where is the boldness? Where are people standing up for? Where are people fighting for our freedoms? They're not in the churches. We want to talk about social distancing, so let's put tape on every third chair or every other chair so people don't sit beside each other. And let's make sure that we don't sing. And let's make sure that... Why go? What is the point of going to a public worship? Tucker Carlson interviewed John MacArthur, and in 2 minutes, John MacArthur laid waste the whole thing. It was brilliant. He just said, you're shutting down churches when this is the place where everybody needs to get their help?
Yeah.
We got people who are suicidal and depressed and everything else, and you want to shut down churches?
Dude, suicide's gone up 400% since February last month.
And part of that is because people attend pastors' meetings.
A number with their masks on. I'm struggling with the spirit of suicide because I've been watching the Chameleon Church show. I don't know. How does this work? How do you breathe through this? I don't know which side is up or down. Is this like a unisex?
We ended up getting some masks made for us by a friend of ours because it's mandatory when you go into, you can't shop without them, and unfortunately stores have the right to say, nah, we don't want to let you in. But I really wanted to have. I wanted to have inscribed on it, this is stupid.
No, I want a mesh. I want a mesh mask. There's nothing covering it up. Just mesh and go. I've seen them. I need to get one. Or I'll go back to my steampunk days and get this massive contraption thing.
I just want to walk around with the Darth Vader mask.
I know, right? Yeah. Put the mask down. Step away from the mask. Killing brain cells. Is that a dry cough? Is that the Rona?
No. It's called it's humid as all get out in my place here.
So I guess because we're not like an official church, and we've got a church building that's open to the public, and because we don't do that, I guess I don't have to deal with it, so I don't worry about it. But man, I guess there are pastors out there wondering, how are we going to balance all this? How do we juggle? And it's like, what sort of juggle, buddy? I fear God, not man.
Exactly. Didn't Peter say that?
Dude, I mean, you know how many times we'll be here at Shabbat with 15, 20 people, and we're singing that, and we're singing really loud and stuff, and I'm looking out the window. I'm waiting for stormtroopers to bust my door down.
Yeah, exactly.
And more so even now. But no, see, you got to remember where I live. There's a reason why I live where I live, and there's a reason why I'm thankful that God would have me live where I live. I thank God I don't live in Chicago. I thank God I don't live in Manhattan, even though
Oh my God,
our world. What's happening to Manhattan is absolutely amazing. It's mind-boggling. I thank God I don't live in Portland. People have been trying to get me to move to the Northwest since the early 90s, and I'm like, no, because I saw that spirit in the church in the Northwest in 1990, and I called it out. I'm like, no. You guys have some major problems here, and you're not going to do anything about it because you actually think this is your spiritual freedom. You're free to be lawless.
Yeah.
That whole rhetoric. Anyway, look at 90% of those Christians that I knew in the 90s from the Northwest aren't Christians anymore. They're totally, completely, yeah. Look at the right. Look at what happened. What's happened in Seattle. Look at what's happened in Portland. Look at what's happened in Southern California. I'm a native Southern Californian. I am an arrogantly proud Southern Californian. I haven't been arrogantly proud about Southern California in well over a decade plus because of what they've done to that place. Anyway, all that to say, I'm absolutely completely grateful that the Father has us living where He has us living, and instead of a democratic stronghold, because one, I would be triggered left and right. I can't handle this crap. I'm just not. I was a punk rocker. I don't think people understand what that means. I'm wired a certain way. I was a punk rocker when I was a teenager, like 14, 15. I guarantee you, people don't have any understanding or clue what that means. But I couldn't do what my job. I'm going to LA in 2 weeks, dude. I'll be in LA in 2 weeks, and yeah. So anyway, imagine me trying to do my Shabbat group in LA or in any of these cities.
Mm-hmm.
We have a dozen plus people singing at the top of their lungs, or we're outside in the yard, Shabbat Shalom, loud, and neighbors calling the cops and stuff. They're congregating and they're not masked and they're whatever. You know what I'm saying? Do they have a permit to? I might live in Utah, right? But I have my freedom here. They're not. No one's stopping me. No one's even trying to stop me. Like, I can't even imagine. Imagine in a backyard in LA doing what I do. I don't think. I think we'd have some problems. I think we'd have some pushback.
I think so.
If there's people in restaurants doing this, hold on. Now that I've got a mask, I can really demonstrate it. If I can put this thing on, see, I don't know what I'm doing. All right, hold on. Is there a easier way to do this? All right, see? Okay, here we go. If there's people in restaurants in Los Angeles doing this,
And what happens if you sneeze when you've got a mouthful?
I can't help you, man. I can't help you. If you're that guy, I can't help you. I don't want to help you. In fact, stay away from me. Do not come to, no.
Yeah.
Because you know what? That's just a physical manifestation of something else, and I don't want to deal with it. I just don't have the I don't have the time or the tolerance. But Allan, no. But Allan, nothing. You know what I'm saying? Why am I going to waste my time? I guarantee you, there's no getting through that person, man. People don't like it when I talk like that. Well, why would you keep them? Who are you to judge that person and keep the gospel from them? Let me show you my Bible real quick. Where's my Bible?
Didn't Yeshua say, and he was quoting from Isaiah 6, that the reason why he spoke in parables is so that they wouldn't come and be healed?
Yep. But Allan, you're not Jesus. Well, wait, I've been spending 40 years trying to be like Jesus. I can't be like Jesus if I don't do what Jesus does. Well, do you walk on water? Working on it. How about you? I'm just trying to stay safe and to try to keep you safe too. Muppet. Oh, there you go. Allan's calling people names. He's got anger issues. Oh, man.
What was the line? You can't fix stupid?
I don't even try. I don't even bother. You walk in with a big S on your forehead? I'm like doing this. Don't touch me. Don't even touch me.
And then you get together with a bunch of pastors and they were just worried about.
I don't.
I said to my wife, I don't know if I can come to another meeting. I might just throttle all these guys. Like, I don't get it. It was like, you're the spiritual leaders of this city and this is what you're doing?
Yeah. Goggles. I love goggles. I'll wear goggles. I love goggles. I already did that. I took pictures of me in March with a mask and goggles on. I'm way ahead of the freaking curve here.
Goggles, and you got to have your scuba mask on. You got to have the little tube thing too.
Well, that's why I want some apparatus. I want some steampunk, old school steampunk leather thing apparatus with metal and
like Anthony Hopkins in Silence of the Lambs.
Oh man. Speaking of pastors, did I tell you? Remember that church we were working with a year and a half ago?
Yeah.
We worked with for like 4 or 5 months.
Uh-huh.
We worked with this church for 4 or 5 months a year and a half ago. They just let him go. They just fired his ass. And I was one of the reasons why they said they did it, because he let a wolf into the flock, into the pen. Me. Yeah. I don't have to. I don't meet with pastors. I avoid those guys. Why am I going to work? A 5-talent Mina guy doesn't. I can't even say that because that makes me sound arrogant. Pastors aren't supposed to be leading the show here. Apostles and prophets. You want to know why this doesn't work? I've been saying this for decades. It doesn't work because apostles and prophets don't run the show. Pastors do.
They don't even exist. What are you talking about?
I know. It's beyond their pay grade. It's not for them to run. And you want to know why they can't run it? You want to know why I am privy to information about churches in the last 5 months, and it's absolutely mortifying.
Mm.
What they've done, how they've done it, how they've conceded, how they've lost their minds. And I don't want to shame anybody. So, but it's terrifying. It's like
they just roll over and it's like, scratch my belly. That's all they're doing right now.
We don't know what to do. We don't know what's happened. Oh, and I'm like, oh my God, you've lost your mind in 5 weeks. It only took you 5 weeks. You know, you've been a pastor for 30 years. And in 5 weeks' time, because you couldn't do Sunday morning church, you've lost your mind. And all this, yeah. This. So you were talking about obedience. So our our devotional last night was about obedience, obviously, because we're following the Torah portion. And we talked about how God did to Israel what he did to Israel in the desert on purpose to test them, to expose their hearts on whether or not they would obey him. And so I asked, when can you think of a time where God put you to the test to judge your heart, to test your heart on whether you would obey him or not? Because a whole bunch of people just ran through a test and failed it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, back in March and April. Yeah, it's sad, man. And I don't wish ill will on anyone. I want everyone to be whole. But in order to be whole, they have to get rid of what's going on here in the physical and be transformed by the renewing of their mind and put on the mind of Christ. Hello, isn't that a favorite? Isn't that on doilies in Christian bookstores? Put on the mind of Christ. I mean, that should be a common go-to, right? But
so instead of rolling over and submitting to the government, why aren't they turning over the tables if they have the mind of Messiah?
Because it's all philosophical, man. It's not an actual lifestyle thing. And you know what? You can turn over the tables without actually physically throwing over a table.
Yeah.
If you're smart and you know how this stuff works. All right. Talk about something positive for the last 15 minutes. I feel like all we do is talk smack, and all we do is judge, and all we do is blah and complain, and this. I know we don't, but
the fall feasts are coming up.
Okay, see, that's a good thing there. I'm not quite sure what's going on with the fall feast prophetically this year.
As I said,
that'd be significant, right?
I've heard that that recompense is what's coming. So for the faithful,
mention that, yeah.
But for those that aren't walking, and for with some of these politicians, you think of what's going on in New York, and the fact that it's well known that Cuomo and de Blasio. I mean, has there ever been someone more incompetent and ridiculous than de Blasio as a politician? I don't know. How did New Yorkers ever elect this guy? What got into the water that they would vote for this guy? I mean, what did he do before he became mayor? Was he a chimney sweeper? What? I don't get it. Anyway, but they have documented proof that they were putting COVID-infected patients into nursing homes so that they could spread the infection. They have documented proof of this. At some point, God has to rise up and say, okay, you know that thing that you did? Now we're going to be dealing with it.
Or I don't know. I don't necessarily think God has to do that. He could just go. He doesn't always intervene. He lets us.
I look at judges and the whole situation with Avimelech, Gideon's son, and how he killed all of his brothers and then he took over. And it says that after 3 years, God sent an evil spirit to cause division between him and the men of Shiloh or Shechem. Between him and the men of Shechem, and you got this whole fight, and it ends up being hard to understand and follow. But basically, the point of that whole story that I get is that here's a guy who did evil, and God stayed silent for 3 years, let things kind of get established and everything else. And then when the time was right, then God released the evil spirit in order to cause division. And it says, so that he could judge him for his wickedness. Now, are there people who go through this life without being judged? I look at a guy like David Rockefeller, died at 101 years old. I didn't see him suffering all that much for what the Rockefeller family obviously does. But David Rockefeller, after he died in 2015, woke up on the other side of eternity and went, uh-oh. And he's been doing that ever since.
Yeah.
But I do believe that there is a recompense that is coming. I mean, wasn't it Billy Graham who said one time that if God doesn't judge the United States, then he's going to have to apologize to Sodom and Gomorrah?
I remember hearing something about that.
Yeah. And he's right. I mean, you've had little snippets of things. You had 9/11, you had Hurricane Katrina, Sandy.
I have a friend that's been on the forefront of Planned Parenthood, on the forefront of abortion rights for 30 years, dude, easily.
Yeah.
I mean, there are people out there. It's just, man, as a whole, though, we're in trouble.
But what's happening is that we are reaping the fruit that we have sown.
Yeah.
I mean, if we allow the Democrats to rig the voting system, I mean, Trump is now outright calling for a delay in the election because he knows that they're going to rig this thing.
Man.
Like you can't even have a legitimate election anymore in the United States.
See, that's the thing. Everyone's worried about this. A second wave, flu season. But I'm like, no, man. A bunch of other stuff going on. You should be worried.
Yeah, it's like if somehow they managed to arrange it, they tried very hard back in 2016, but it didn't work because even though Soros's voting machines flipped 5 states to Hillary that should have gone to Trump, they still couldn't pull it off. God still thwarted that.
No, see, that's the thing. That's the thing people don't understand. Whether you like him or not, he wasn't supposed to win. The entire system was making sure he wasn't going to win. And guess what? Hey, God prophesied it.
Yep. So you have, I mean, if you look at some of these characters now, like I said, de Blasio, Cuomo, he's his father's son. Oh my gosh. And then you've got his brother there on the Communist News Network. having a temper tantrum about every other day about something or other. But I mean, if you look at the mayor of Chicago, Lori Lightfoot, I mean, that is, you want to know what the zombie apocalypse is going to look like? Look at her face. That is one of the scariest looking women I've ever seen in my life. Those are the most soulless eyes. And then you've got this woman down in St. Louis who's going to charge that couple for defending themselves, even though not one BLM protester got shot that day when most of them should have.
And they're Democrats and they're pro-BLM themselves. See, you give these people plenty of time, they eat themselves. They just churn them.
Yep. So
okay, you said we were supposed to be talking positive stuff.
Yeah, but you see, there's a threshing that's going to come, and I don't believe that we're entering into the tribulation period yet. I don't. I think that there's a time of reprieve that we're going to get. It's going to get ugly in the States. And especially when Trump wins the election, and I don't know how it's going to happen. I mean, this whole system is so confusing right now. It doesn't even make sense anymore. But somehow or another, Trump is going to remain president, and the left is going to collectively lose its mind at that point. And the United States is going to go up in this conflagration. And I think that there's going to be, they've taught, and then you've got the whole Three Gorges Dam situation that nobody's talking about. And that this dam, there's been so much flooding over there. They have, the Hal Turner radio show has pictures, satellite pictures of the dam and how like solid concrete is, has moved so much that the dam is actually warped. When you think about how thick that concrete is.
Where is that?
What was that?
Where is this at?
The Three Gorges Dam?
Yeah.
In China. In the Yangtze River. So you got this 500-foot wall of water that's sitting behind this thing, and there are 400 million people downstream. If this dam goes, China's entire manufacturing capability gets wiped out. Like, it is going to be catastrophic on a level that hasn't been seen since, well, some guy built an ark. And nobody's talking about this. So you got things that are happening around the world that nobody's talking about. Everybody's worried about masks. Oh my goodness. Masks are the least of your problem right now.
Crazy.
So when Trump wins the 2020 election, rather, it's going to set in motion a whole bunch of things. But I still got to think that there's a revival coming, and that we're going to have one last kick at the can before, we go into Revelation, before the Antichrist is revealed. I don't think they've got things quite set up yet. And so
that's because Trump's put a big wrench in their timeline.
Oh man, if Hillary had been in there, we already would have had the Antichrist revealed. Maybe it's Obama, who knows? But we have to be ready, because God is providing us with opportunities. I mean, even with the job that I'm doing that I'm not very fond of, I had an amazing opportunity to talk to this 18-year-old young man, and he's very interested. And we're talking about the Lord. We're talking about what it means to have faith. We're talking about what it means to have a personal relationship with, while I'm sitting there trying to paint, trimming on the floorboards and stuff like that. So I think that there's going to be a reprieve. I think there's going to be a cleansing that's going to happen. And I think the fall feast might very well trigger things forward. It might be a release. I'm hoping. I don't know. But there are certain places where it's going to get really bad. I don't know if Seattle can be saved.
Yeah, I know.
And then you've got Mount Rainier sitting right behind there, connected to the whole Cascadia system. And how much lava did they find under the Cascadia fault? 240 kilometers of lava. 240 cubic kilometers of lava. You know how much lava that is? They're saying there are 17 active volcanoes on the West Coast.
Yeah, I'm not far from one.
So if the Cascadia subduction zone goes, like, there are all these things that God is setting up, and it's probably going to happen. Boom, 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 boom. And Christians aren't ready, because we're trying to figure out how to obey the government and not singing in church, and how much space we should have between people. So I'm getting ready to worship on the fall feast. And actually, I've connected with a Pentecostal pastor who's taken over this old United Church. He wants to partner up. I said, we need to do a Tabernacles event. He said, send me all the information on the fall feast. We'll do them. Jamaican guy.
Yeah.
So there's some interesting things that are lining up here. And I think that for those of us who have been really keeping close to the Lord, walking in obedience, and not drinking the Kool-Aid, I think there's some pretty cool things that are coming our way.
Yeah. Bob asked a question a while back. Yes, Bob, your truck cab is a temporary dwelling place, so you're good for Sukkot. You're in a tour bus, and hotels even. Yeah, I do know that. I do know one thing to wrap this up, and that's, come November, you want to be where you want to be, geographically, because I think the pressure cooker is going to blow in November, and so you don't want to be on the road. You don't want to be traveling. You want to be where you want to be, because if what happens, they're going to lock everything down like legally. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what November's going to look like.
Well, I heard one guy was saying that, you've got the Red Dawn invasion that's being prepared, the fifth column, all that kind of stuff. And you've got all these UN troops on American soil. And he says that one of the ways that God could circumvent that is as they're invading on the West Coast, because Newsom and Boxer and Feinstein and all these California politicians are opening the way for China to come in. God could just set off the Cascadia Zone, and all of a sudden these big armies get wiped out.
I'm too close to all that. You don't understand. I'm right here. I'll be looking down from the mountain going, oh my God. Wolverines.
So I think there's hope. I think there's something that we have to look forward to. But you know what? Our hope is in the return of the Lord. I mean, so whatever happens, happens.
The Lord told me the Lord told me this on Saturday. Don't be deceived. What's coming is ancient, but we serve the Ancient of Days.
And seek out the ancient paths and walk in them.
Yeah.
And you will find rest for your souls.
So, yeah, there's that. Imagine people. So we had some friends come over. Well, they came over to drop off food because my wife had her operation thing and left. It's extreme liberals. And it's like, we're looking at them and I'm thinking, and we talked about it. It's like, they have no hope. They walked in all, but they have no hope. Imagine not having any hope, not being saved, not having Jesus in your life, not having that hope, and living today with all this stuff, right? I mean, no wonder everyone's losing their freaking minds.
Mm-hmm.
And how sad. And it's like, it's so hard to talk to them about Jesus, though, too, because they're arrogantly convinced in their ignorance and in their fear. See, that's just like Israel. Israel's 1,000% wrong, and they're arrogant about it, all throughout the wilderness campaign. Man. Father, have mercy. Father, in your sovereignty, have mercy. In your sovereignty, have mercy on us, Father. Yep, armor of light. Put on your armor of light, man, because what's coming is it can't penetrate that armor, but they're gonna try. They're gonna try real hard. And you know what? And they're gonna come around the backside. Oh, take off your helmet. Here, have something to drink. Yeah, you gotta remember, man, these guys are crafty and deceiving. The enemy's really good at his job. I'm amazed at how amazingly well he does his job. So it's getting real. Yeah, it's getting real.
You're listening to Chameleon Church. Biblical Antidotes for the Modern Man. With your host, Allan Aguirre.
We are richly blessed to bring you what we believe is the fullest, most diverse, yet up-to-date progressive teachings, discussion, and prayer programming you can find anywhere on this planet. Be sure to take the tour of the MessianicLambRadio.com website. I'm Susan Hoogie, thanking you for joining us on the Messianic Lamb Video Network.